Early this month, in honor of St. Pat's Day, I made a video making corned beef in my air fryer. Boy, did that turn out good. I'll put a link, wherever it goes, to that video. But today we're going to make something more traditional. We're going to make Irish beef stew and Irish soda bread. Now, the beef stew is Guinness beef stew. So it is made with a dark stout, a pint of it. And this gives it its wonderful, rich brown color. And it also gives it just a little flavor. You really don't taste the beer in it. Now, personally, I'm not a Guinness drinker. I'm more of a Bud Light drinker. But this is great in stew. I think you're really going to like it. And this is my first attempt at making Irish soda bread, so bear with me. I am using Gemma's Boulder baking recipe. That is her mother's recipe from Ireland. So let's see how I do. So the recipe I'm using is from the Daring Gourmet Traditional Irish Beef and Guinness Stew. Now for our stew ingredients: 6 ounces bacon, diced, 2 pounds chuck roast, 1-inch cubes, 3 tablespoons flour, 2 yellow onions chopped, 3 cloves garlic minced, 4 Yukon Gold potatoes, large dices, 2 large carrots, 1/2-inch slices, 1 large parsnip, 1 1/2-inch pieces, 1 pint, of course, of Guinness Extra Stout, 1 cup beef broth, 2 tablespoons Worcestershire sauce, and 1/4 cup tomato paste. Now let's get started. Frying up our bacon. Here's our bacon. Now we're ready to brown our beef. Added some salt and pepper to the flour, mixing it up a little. And then we're just going to dredge these pieces flour before we're frying them. I'm going to add just a little more bacon grease because that was pre-cooked bacon, so I won't have as much as normal. Let's see. Just going to want to brown each side. I want to cook these in batches. Cook too many at once and you don't have time to switch them around. Be back when we get them all nice and brown. Okay, we're going to put in our onions. Be back in about 10 minutes when this is nice and brown. Done 10 minutes, maybe just a little longer, getting them nice and brown. Now we're just going to put in all of our garlic that we minced up. There we go. Just cook it for about a minute more. Now we're going to put in the rest of our veggies. We're going to cook for another 5 minutes. Oh, adding the beef broth too, bring it up to boil. Now we just want to mix everything in, and then we're going to bring it to a boil. See that nice dark color now? Add our spices, 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce, 2 tomato paste. Okay, mix that in and make sure you're deglazing the bottom. Get everything off. Now you're going to add your bacon that I put in pieces. And your meat, your chuck roast. Now, if you're going to keep on making in this pot, bring it all up to a boil and then simmer it for a good 2 hours. Now, I'm cooking it on low for probably about 7 hours. It takes about 6 to 8 hours. But if you want to do it on high, you can get done in about 4 hours. We'll be back. There's one of the rabbits enjoying those carrot ends. Really good, isn't it, babe? Now it's time to make our bread. Here are our ingredients: 1 3/4 cup whole wheat flour, 1 3/4 cup all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon salt, 1 teaspoon baking soda, 2 tablespoons butter, 1 egg, and 1 3/4 cups buttermilk. And Gemma had used some rolled oats on top of the bread. I did not do that this time. Some beautiful whole wheat flour, freshly ground. Now the recipe calls for buttermilk, and you might not have that on hand. What I keep is this cultured buttermilk, and it's dry. Now once you open it, you have to keep it in the refrigerator. But you can also make buttermilk with other ingredients at home with your milk, and I think it's vinegar. Anyway, look online, and if you don't have buttermilk in your refrigerator, you can make it. You know what I like about this recipe? It's 1 2/3 cup whole wheat flour, 1 2/3 cup all-purpose flour, and 1 2/3 cup buttermilk, so it's easy to remember. Now, we need to have 4 of these, make 1 cup, 4 tablespoons. And then 2 1/2. Okay, that makes the 2/3 of a cup. Now, just get this out of the way. Just going to mix this up well. It mixes up really fast. Hear that kind of fizz? Yeah. Then we're going to put in our 1 egg. And look at how beautiful and orange that is. My girls lay such pretty eggs. Then we're just going to mix this up. Now, some of the traditional recipes do not use an egg, so you don't have to add this to the recipe. This is just how Gemma's mom made it, and I'm just duplicating it. But just make sure you get that egg mixed real well. And now just mix your dry ingredients together, and then we're ready to make the bread. Here we want to just make a little well in the middle. We're going to put in some of this buttermilk. And now we're just bringing in from the sides, mixing it in. You can see we need more. Starting to get more dough-like. Right there yet. And you know, people say, well, why the buttermilk? But you need the buttermilk to go along with the soda, because that's a chemical reaction, right? Nope, I think that's about right. A little sticky, but I think that's okay. Here we have it on our tray now. You want to flatten it out. About 1.5 inches thick. Now we're going to give it a blessing. name of the Father and the Son. Okay. And the Holy Spirit. Amen. Or in nomine Patri Filio Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Yeah, I took Latin in high school. Just want to make sure that it goes down far enough. Then, you got to put a little thing in here, right? So the fairies escape, because they can make your bread bad. Whoops, got one. Darn it, fairy got out. Oh well. One thing left to do. We're just using some of the leftover buttercream. Should say buttermilk. There we go. Give it a nice glaze. Now it's time to put it in the oven. Got my oven at 425 degrees. We're going to bake it for 15 minutes at this temperature. We'll be back. Okay, it's been 15 minutes. Now we're going to turn this down to 400 degrees. And we're going to cook it for another 30 minutes. Looking good in there, isn't it? Be back. And I should tell you, don't open the door at all through this process. You want to keep that heat in there. Even though you want to peek, you can't. Okay, we're going to let it cool for just a little. We pick it up. Hear that? It's done. It sounds nice and hollow. Time to open our stove. Ho ho ho. Doesn't that look good? Now we're just going to slather on some of this real Irish butter. Doesn't that look delicious? Well, now for my favorite time. Let's have a bite. Nice crispy crust. Oh, so good. Just get a little piece of meat. Still really, really hot. Oh, hot. But so good. Taste a little of the rosemary. Put this in my bread. Just got a very, very rich flavor. This is a winner. So, why don't you, for St. Patrick's Day this year, make some Guinness, Irish stew, and some Irish soda bread. You'll be glad you did.